today I'm just going to talk about the efforts for a clean maritime industry, both from a global perspective, but also from a company perspective as MOL. And I don't know how many of you have heard of MOL. Yeah. Okay. It's nice to see a couple of hands here in Europe. Okay, so MOL, it's a maritime and shipping company, so it's Japan-based. So we currently own and operate almost 800 vessels, and we operate in over 100 countries around the world. So we do transportation from dry bulk, liquid bulk, LNG, and across we work different industries. So terminal business as well, real property, clean energy, logistics, and yeah, a bit more. So indeed this year it was the 130th anniversary of the company, and through all of those years we've seen different changes in the maritime industry, how it's been evolving, developing, but as well within the last years we've seen an amazing increase in the emissions on industry. So probably you already know you're very well familiar with these numbers, but okay, so most of the emissions of the maritime comes from international shipping vessels. So these have increased 5% from 2022, from 2021 to 2022, and almost double the emissions from the levels in 1990. So as well, the ships are responsible for over 18% of nitrogen oxides pollution, and this represents 3% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And along the shipping industry, so just taking the whole value chain, it makes up to 2.5% of the global emissions. And one of the strategies, like global strategies to reduce these emissions, have made on the IMO strategies have set a target for reducing 0.5% of those emissions by 2050, which is a pretty ambitious target, but I mean, I think all of our here and along the industry are working towards achieving those different targets. And so I just talk about the IMO strategy. So they focus on three main points. So the first one is reducing the carbon intensity by 40% on 2030. So this is just a whole carbon intensity reduction, and as well focus on the zero and net zero technology. So at least use of those emissions, so of those technologies, at least 5%, striving for a 10% by 2030. And they are very aligned on phasing out these emissions, and they align very well with the Paris agreements and all this long-term goal to reduce emissions and to phase out all the emissions. So, yeah, here. But probably we've seen through all the previous presentations, so different fuels that are in place to reduce those emissions and to decarbonize the industry. So we've talked about hydrogen, we talked about ammonia, methanol, renewables, so wind-assisted power and other type of biofuels. And we've seen different trends so far. So trends of methanol fuels, and especially trends of trying to increase the infrastructure along ports, along different transportation for those fuels. And currently there are over 200 pilot and demonstration projects globally to support those zero emissions technologies. But apart from this, so we as well have other technologies to help decarbonize this industry. So all the shipping decarbonization using AI, smart thing, automation, navigation controls, cloud, IoT. So all of these different technologies that can now support the decarbonization of this industry. Okay, so what's MOL doing and what's our decarbonization journey? So currently we're focused on environment and digitalization. So on environment, we have these 5 key actions. So to adopt clean energy, so we're now looking at different types of energy, as we've seen across the previous presentation. So ammonia, methanol, biofuels, and also enhancement of energy savings technology. So all the IoT some of the Wind Challenger system that I will talk a little bit later, some efficient operations, so promoting and improving fuel efficiency, operations efficiency. On point 4, we have building business models to enable zero or net zero emissions. So, of course, we're a company, we're business oriented, but as well we're driving our business to support net zero emissions. And on point 5, basically expand our business. So it's not that there'll be the fields of the future, but that at some point that'll be our ongoing and regular business working with those fuels. So there are some points and bullet points related to our group initiatives. So we have from new energy, so LNG fuel vessels, which are, we work with those already, especially bunkering vessels, so cleaner alternative fuels, so biofuels. We have an example of tugboat by biofuels, offshore wind power generation, so we are part from offshore wind power generation on sea, and also marine renewables, so tide and wave energy. So new impetus, so Wind Challenger, Wind Hunter, e-fuel, electric vessels. So that's as well a small bunkering vessel just operating in the Tokyo Bay area. So that's fully electric. And as well, we look into low carbon business, so CCUS, LNG to power ship, and EPSRC. And on marine conservation, we have some projects as well, which we take part on those, and marine plastics waste and Arctic research vessel project, which is a really interesting one that as well we support that project. And on the digitalization side, we have a focus project, which it's basically optimization of the vessel, of our current vessels. So that system is in place it's being installed in over 140 vessels currently. And as well, we have vessel cybersecurity and autonomous and safe operation across the whole fleet. And on the chart on the other side, so that comes from our environmental vision that was released last year. So there is an update on our environmental vision, so 2.2. So that's basically our efforts on a timeline up to 2050 to reduce emissions from our company. So basically, mainly focus on efficiency improvements, mainly focus on wind propulsion. So we're using wind propulsion. We have a couple of projects that I'll go through them in a little bit to help reduce the emissions from the vessels. As well, reduction through LNG and methanol, ship equipment, adoption of clean energy, so other clean energy, basically looking at ammonia, biofuels, and at some point hydrogen, and at the end, carbon dioxide removal, so some of other projects that might come in the future. So here are some of the examples that I've been talking a little bit about. So we have the Wind Hunter. So basically, it's a small yacht-size vessel that goes out, basically catch wind power, and that generates green hydrogen to just keep going, and also store hydrogen on this vessel. So we have the E5 full electric vessel that I just talked about. So basically it's a bunker vessel that operates in Tokyo Bay area. The Wind Challenger, which is a hard wind propulsion assisted. So that's just for one wind wing. It can reduce up to 8% of the emissions of one vessel. So that's a large vessel over 5 gigatons. And as well, I talk about the Fox project, so that's more cloud-based operations efficiency and management of data digitalization and improve operations and safety across the journey of the vessel. So it can optimize the journey in terms of tides, marine observations, and whatever is happening around the vessel, and even weather. So, and we as well take part of the Arctic Research Vessel Project and of the offshore wind power generation. So as well, there are a lot of challenges of the previous speakers have mentioned about when to adopt, how to adopt different fields or new technologies. But with those demonstration projects, we are trying to keep up with the trends before going on a large scale. And well, apart from that, more on the research and a little bit outside of the regular operations. So we have created MOL Plus. So basically, this is a kind of subsidiary company that invests into different projects, research projects that are supporting any type of developments, technologies, and improvements that will support the maritime on the shipping industry. So it can be on environment, robotics, mobility, new materials, biodiversity, or any other things. So recently, last year, by the end of last year, we invested in Ocean. So they it's a wave power generation company. So that's a solution as well, more on the port and shore side. So, okay, I think I tried to keep it short, and thank you very much.